Gerry was all that I should have been. And, he was kind and gentle, and I was as rough as a chunk of coal. And, I didn't really like him. But after I had gained some sobriety and I started to change my life, Gerry became one of my dearest friends. Approximately, I believe I've given Gerry his last 7 cakes. His sponsor at the time was not able to do it, and he asked me to give him his cake. And I was honored to do that. And shortly after that, he asked me if I would sponsor him. And I said we could co-sponsor each other because I needed him more than he needed me. And, it's been such a wonderful life. We've traveled, we've done cruises, we've gone to a convention in, 2005, the International Convention in Toronto. What a trip that was. Anyways, Gerry became very much beloved to me, and I will miss him. And, at this time, we're going to ask a few speakers to come up and share, and we'll follow that with an open mic after that if there's any time. So, Bill, would you come up and share? Bill D.
My name is Bill Dubuque, and Gerry has been my sponsor for 25 years. I sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous. I can say Alcoholics Anonymous in my family, being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a dubious distinction. My family is full of grave emotional mental disorders, but they're not alcoholic. I asked Gerry to be my sponsor because 25 years ago, my wife passed away in January of 2000, a battle. I met her when I was 5 years sober, my reward for being sober, but we were married for 7 years, but 5 of those years were involved with fighting breast cancer and surgeries and blah, 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 when you go through that. And it was her. The day after she passed away, my pastor met with me and said it was her wish that I return to AA. I was not going to AA meetings at the time. I was going to one a month. And I was 12 years sober. But I needed a Christian. Alcoholics have a weird idea about God of your understanding, and we keep quiet about Jesus Christ as a God of our understanding. But I'm a church type guy, and I needed somebody. Both Gerry was the only one I knew. We were both attending. I recognized the name from Peaceport Alliance Church, which I was attending, and to boot, he's a retired salesman. I've been my career is in sales and marketing, and Gerry also. So that was a background, and I come from a big family and a strong family background also. And as a mentor, Gerry saw that a lot of stuff has to do with that we talked about. It really had to do with character, men's character, family man, husband, father. A man's character. It wasn't just a matter of staying sober. I was after the kind of like the moral, spiritual implication of it, and Gerry and I could talk about that. Choose your mentors and choose your friends wisely, because you're like the 5 people that you know. that you're closest to. Look at the 5 people that you know best, and that's who you are. And that's where, but, so I've never really been, what's the word, outgoing and evangelical or whatever. As a matter of fact, quite serious. Serious enough that I just want to share with you one of Gerry's basic rules when he first meets a sponsee. And you ask him to be your sponsor. When there's a meeting, half an hour before the meeting, during the meeting, and half an hour after the meeting, that's social time. That's community time. That's AA fellowship time. Don't be coming to me with your problem. You phone me with your problem before the meeting. You phone me with your problem after the meeting. But there's fellowship time to be considered. I didn't really appreciate that. More so until after I met a situation where somebody announced, oh, there's a step group beginning, see so-and-so after the meeting. So I went up to so-and-so, and there he is, all tangled up for half an hour with his sponsee, turned his back on me, you know. Because they're dealing with a sponsor-sponsee problem, and there isn't the time for fellowship. And Gerry was big for fellowship. You're going to hear too where he's big on family values. I wish I'd have had a dad that sobered up. I wish I'd have had a dad that would have, you know. I've had to undo knots in my life that my dad could have easily taken care of if he'd have confronted his problem, whatever his problem is, you know. Dad was the only one that wouldn't go to church with us. He had a drinking problem. Oh, the other thing, the military thing. I'm a Legion orphan. Legion orphans, you get stuck on the Legion parking lot while your dad's inside drinking, you know. And for the most part, I want to talk. What I'm describing is integrity. And I don't know whatever integrity is, but it really has to do with the other thing where it describes it as character. Well, in alcoholic language, are you solid, you know? And you begin to recognize things. And I could take things back to Gerry because we're both in sales and marketing too, much the same thing. You run into difficult people problems. So it wasn't just awkward employment problems and that. It had to do with people and personalities and what you're dealing with. How do you handle that? And Gerry had to do that for some not so nice people, but you had to end up getting the job. Basically, that was your responsibility. So you had to figure out a way around it. And there's a lot of good influence with that. I don't know about the other sponsees, but God, we'd spend hours on the phone every day, and he'd repeat himself over and over and over again on certain things. And they didn't always walk the talk, but a superb example. And I think for most people sitting here, Gerry's comment would be, I remember the day you came in. Gerry and Gerry and Winnie are just going on 50 years of sobriety. And Gerry is also just going on 90 years of age, a good life. My condolences to the family. My respects. Thank you for my sobriety.
Thank you, Bill. Now, one of the first things I heard Gerry say, and I believe it was at Pike Road when he was asked to share, was, it all begins with stopping drinking. And I've carried that for a long time. I've remembered that. Is everybody able to hear quite well? Okay. Ken, would you come up and share with us, please?
Thanks, Ron. Hi, everybody. My name's Ken Holland, And I'd like to welcome you all here today. Yeah, as my friend Bill said, Gerry wasn't just my sponsor and my mentor, my friend. He was far more than that. I can't really describe exactly what he was. All of those things, I suppose, and much more. The day that I was born, 62 years ago, Gerry and my father, who were best friends, were celebrating my birth at the Crescent Legion. So I've known Gerry, or he knew me, for a long, long time. And Winnie is my second mom, as most of you know. And for that, I'm truly blessed. But you know, Gerry didn't teach me about sobriety, and he didn't teach me about family, and he didn't teach me about, you know, the family life or any of that kind of stuff. His real purpose was to teach me about how to play golf. And, you know, one of my fondest, earliest memories is when I was 8 years old, or thereabouts, and Gerry and my father, along with Gerry's son Bill and he took us down to one of the local golf courses where I first time I ever stepped foot on a golf course. And Gerry was a longtime member of Peace Portal Golf Course. He was a club champion there many times. And I ended up working there 3 times. I think that's why he sponsored me. And so I could take care of the greens for him, you know. But I'll tell you, if you really wanted to know Gerry, you know, a good way to get to know him was to play a round of golf with him. That's when you really knew who he was. His competitiveness, his integrity for the game, and just in general, you know. And, you know, when I came into recovery in 2003, the very first thing that he said to me, I was at a local recovery house, and the very first thing that he said to me was, Ken, I will do anything for you except be your sponsor while you're in this house. And that was because he had respect for the man that ran it, that was trying to teach me what AA was all about and what our big book says, and, you know, how to incorporate the teachings of the program to become a better human being. Gerry took care of all the other stuff outside of that, you know, and he would phone me often. And one of the things that he did was he would come down into the house and pick me up and take me over to like Pike Road or North Delta or Steveston and all over Hell's Half Acre. And he did it for a purpose. And the purpose was, he said, Ken, there will come a day when you might be, you know, out at work or wherever you may be, and suddenly you'll have that strange mental blank spot and you'll need a meeting. And he wanted me to be able to be comfortable no matter where I went. And it also taught me how to meet a lot of people that I was otherwise never would have had the opportunity to meet. You know, for that I'm also very grateful. And I do that for my sponsees today, you know. But you know, the last time that I got to see Gerry, or obviously it was at the hospital, and then the last time that I actually talked to him, he phoned me on the Saturday of the latest international convention. I was at the convention in Vancouver, and Gerry phoned me during the day. The very last thing that he said to me was, Ken, I love you. Well, Gerry and family, I love you too. Thank you.
I'm here, and I keep hearing stories about Gerry, and it brings up something. Oh yeah, I should have said this. I should have said that. A quick story before I ask the next speaker to come up. Gerry was in the extended care home, Weatherly place or whatever, and Norma and I were there visiting. And they told Gerry, well, you'll go home either today or Monday. And Winnie wasn't ready for him to come home because she had a lot of stuff to get ready so it would be comfortable for him. And he was pretty insistent that he was going to come home. And he finally said to Winnie, "I'll ask my sponsor." And he turned to me, and I said, "Sorry, Gerry, but I have to side with Winnie on this one." At this time, I'd like to get Michelle to come up and share.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle. Thank you, Ron, for asking me to be a person to share today. I'm really honored to be here. This is not an easy thing to do. I'm not going to lie. God bless to the family. Oh my goodness, I've heard so much about you. One of the most gifted things that Gerry shared with me, and I met Gerry almost 25 years ago in the program. I was a young mom just coming in, and I was very scared, and I was very alone. And your father and your husband that you've shared so lovingly with Gerry's groupies that we all are, have given me so much. I wanted to write it out, and I went to write it out, and I thought, how can I write something out when I've always been able to get up and share at Gerry's cake, and I never once wrote it out? So I thought, I'm not going to write it out. I'm just going to go for it. So thank you for sharing your father with me, with all of us. He was one of the very first men, father figure, grandfather figure. Everything I could have imagined encompassed in the second meeting that I went to when he put his hand out. And he said, "Hey, how are you? What can we do to help you?" And he knew right away, and he introduced me right away to Winnie. So here I have these two solid humans within my presence at my second meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And right through all those years of my life, Gerry was an integral part of all of it. We didn't go to each other's events all the time. We didn't spend a whole lot of time together outside our rooms. But I carried Gerry with me in everything that I did, in how I approached my morals and values of parenting. Every time I would share at a meeting or at Gerry's cake, he would always phone me the next day. And he would say, "Michelle, thank you so much. Your daughters will forever be benefited by what you're doing. Your daughters are going to have such a good life because of what you're doing." He cheered me on every single step of the way, just like a father figure would. You're so blessed to have had that man. I'm so blessed to have had that man. He was a funny one, and some of you probably already heard this story, but it's not a Gerry story unless I absolutely share it. I absolutely share it. That in my first year or two of sobriety, one of the most gifted things my friend Gerry gave to me was I'd get to a meeting and he'd walk up and he'd have this little, "Come here," and hug first. "Here, put this in your pocket." It was a little note. Just a little note. Just a little encouragement. "You did well this week. You're a good person, Michelle. You share from your heart. Thank you for being a good friend." Some of the things he would say to me after every phone call: "You're a good friend, Michelle. We love you." So these notes collected inside my pocket. I carried them with me in my purse. I have some of them in my book. And I was so excited. Gerry was taking a cake. And I thought, I can't wait to tell everybody about these notes that Gerry has shared with me that have helped me through my years. And I'm next up, and I'm so excited. And a girl comes up before me, and I kind of thought to myself, wow, this meeting is more full of women than usual. It's usually more the other way around. It's usually more heavily weighted on the male side than the female side. But I thought, wow, go Gerry, right? This is awesome. He's got a lot of female strength, and he's got a lot of he's got a good heart, a little soft heart. Well, these girls are getting up, and they're sharing the same thing about how Gerry's given them these notes. And I thought, that's my humility was brought down below ground. In that moment, I thought I was the favorite. What is going on here? And it encompassed everything that Gerry is. Not just for the women, but there's also men, I'm sure. If you got notes, if you got handshakes, what has been shared here, what Ron has had from Gerry is integral to Ron's existence today. I've witnessed that. My marriage today is different because of the Gerry and Winnie's, that I have had the honor of following a marriage that looks like that. It's not just Gerry. Gerry didn't say, I love you, at the end of every conversation on the phone. He said, we love you. We. And that, to me, that one word that Gerry carried with himself everywhere he went and shared with me every time I had a moment with him, I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Someone like Gerry, I will always feel gifted to have had walk with me. And I used to call Gerry on my wedding anniversary every year and say, guess what, Gerry? Brian and I are celebrating 10 years. Woohoo! And he's like, yeah, that's a good start, Michelle. That's a good start. I thought, man, this guy is hard to please. 20 years comes. Phone him up. Gerry, guess what? 20 years. Yeah, you're getting there. Last November, when Gerry took his cake and I shared, I said, Gerry, Brian and I did 30 years in August. And he went, oh, yeah, okay, that is really good, Michelle. Well, a few days ago, we did 31. So there you go, Gerry. There you go. And that's because of people like Gerry and Winnie. I love you so much, Winnie. You are so solid. You are everything. And every time Gerry would call, we would speak almost every week. I miss his phone calls. I really do. I miss his voice. But you know what? I can actually hear it. I actually can hear his voice because I've had the honor of hearing it for almost 25 years. And you know how when you hear the news of a person passing, you think, oh man, why didn't I go that one more time? But it's okay because I had all that and we have all this and my life's forever changed. And so on my last note, I may not get written notes from him anymore. I have some in text messages that I will always have in my phone, and I will never, ever remove them. But I do want to read one small thing that, ironically, shortly after Gerry's passing, this is one of my favorite books, and I read it. And I skipped sometimes to a different page each day, just for fun. A few days after Gerry passed, this is something I read. So just one more moment, and then I'm done here. Grief is not a place. Grief is not a place to stay. Walk away, but let it walk in step beside you. Grief is not a home to nest in or rest in. It is a shadow to be found when the sunlight hits the ground. Stitched to your foot, it will take root, a favorite chapter in your book, reminding you that you are now more than you were before, because you store someone's love. Not less because they left. You're still you, but with that part of them attached to. Together you go on. It is the same song, just with new notes. Notes they're leaving wrote. That's, I guess, Gerry's note to me in my book. So I'm going to take it and read it often, and I like to share it with you. So thank you so much, and God bless the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Martin, where's Martin? Oh, there you are. Could you share, please?
Hi, I'm Martin. Gerry was my sponsor for 21 years. And you know, I'm pretty good with words and speaking in front of people, but I made some notes for today. Some really nice things said already, and it's brought back memories. Although I always thought I was his favorite, and I don't remember getting that many notes. Michelle got all the notes. I do have texts, though. I met Gerry 25 years ago. I was going to say I sold him a trailer, but to sell something, there has to be profitability involved. And there wasn't. I think we tried dealing on another one a couple of years later, and he said to me, he said, Martin, you know, I have lots of time on my hands. I can tell you exactly what something costs. And I said, no. And he said, that trailer costs you X amount of dollars. And he wasn't within $1,000, he was within $50 of what it really cost. So we didn't do business again after that. So when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I recognized him and Winnie, of course, and just was going to the same meetings. And after a little while, I asked him to be my sponsor. And I was at a meeting the next night, and a guy by the name of Racetrack Bill, if you guys remember who that was sitting beside me. And Gerry got up to speak, and Bill said, Martin, you should listen to this guy. And I said, that's my sponsor. And he'd been my sponsor for one day. In early sobriety, hours and hours on the phone, and I remember Winnie actually one time saying to somebody, he's always talking to Martin on the phone. And there was one particular situation that was really a situation like this, but I made it like this. And Jackie and I, my partner Jackie and I, were having dinner with Gerry and Winnie. We wanted to take them to this Italian restaurant in Langley, and this problem was so overwhelming. And I told him about it, and he had this unique way of summarizing things that I can't do, and I've only seen a few people in my life that can do it. And he just summarized it, and it was gone. It was all gone. And as we're driving away from the restaurant, my Jackie, who's a normie, said, I'd like Gerry to sponsor me too, just for... And we went to a meeting, and the problem that I'd had involved somebody, and he was there and came over, and it was this beautiful thing. But he had this respectful way of explaining things to me that was like to your heart. And you know, Bill was talking about being in sales, and I was in sales, and I wonder if he was secretly building a sales team that he was gonna... He really was one of a kind. As the years went on, Gerry and I didn't connect as much as we probably should have, but for the last couple of 3 years we have. I moved to Vancouver Island, and I'd come over here and have nice visits with him. He'd sit in his recliner, and every time we had a visit or a talk, it would be, I'd leave there and I'd say to myself, what was that? You know, what just happened? It was like this thing, this event. It was just such a beautiful thing. And the last time I saw him was just a couple of weeks before the conference, and we had this great visit. I'd bring him fish over, and as I was leaving, he said, "You're a good friend, Martin." And I can hear him saying that, and I can still feel it. And he passed away. I hadn't been going to AA meetings a long time, and I went to the conference, and I got this renewed sense of what I was missing, and couldn't wait to tell him about it, and bought the tapes. And after one meeting, I went running to get this tape. It's a digital tape. They're not going to run out, but I had to run and get it because I wanted to share it with Gerry. And he passed away the day after the conference. And even up until coming here, you know, I'd spoke to Winnie and spoke to Ron and Norma. It still felt like I could phone him. It still felt like I could phone him up. So this is some finality today. I'm so glad that I had him in my life, and I will continue to have him in my life. And thank you, Winnie, for looking after him, and thank you to your family for letting us have him. You know, I had a nice shirt picked out, and it was going to be 30 degrees, and I have this shirt that says "Life is Good," this T-shirt, and I thought, well, my life wouldn't be good today if it wasn't for Gerry. You know, the things that he gave me, the guidance and the mentorship, I wouldn't have the life that I have if it wasn't for him. So I wore my T-shirt. So thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Martin. Earl, would you come up and share for us, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Earl Reedy, and I am an alcoholic. And by the grace of God and the program Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm sober again today. What a miracle. I was blessed, royally blessed. Thanks, Ron. I'm shaky. I think it was on my 8-year cake across the street. The celebration was going and all this, and I used to always introduce myself with a couple F words and stuff like this. And Winnie and Gerry said, "Earl, come here. And they sat on both sides of me. And they said, you know, "Earl, you have a great message. The only problem is that you swear too much. And once you swear, that message is lost." And I went, "Oh, okay." You know, and so it's taken me a long time to get better with my swearing. As you know, I got 3 grandsons, you know, and stuff like this, so I got to learn not to swear. Except when I'm watching Montreal Canadiens play, you know, that's when I do swear a lot. But it changed my whole recovery, my whole life. I was thinking of another time way back when I first came into one of the morning meetings, Canada, US. And I got ripped by one of the members for bringing up part of my other addictions. And the guy says, "You got your own meetings to go to, you go to those." Gerry put his hand on my arm and he says, "Earl, don't worry about it. If you have a problem with alcohol, you come to this meeting." And I just went like, okay. I disappeared from AA for about a year, and I didn't go back until later on. The most important thing that I got from Winnie and Gerry, I got to put Winnie and Gerry together because they are the greatest couple in AA in my eyes, I believe, especially here in White Rock and that. Gerry would always introduce Winnie, my beautiful wife, my loving wife. And it started to click into me, and I started going, he's right. I got to start giving my beautiful wife, Army, the respect that she deserves. And so I have everybody that knows me personally and stuff, like even at my cakes, I always introduce my beautiful wife, Army. That's how it is. When I do my prayers at night, my beautiful wife, Army. You know, it's in my prayer. It's in the morning prayer and my evening prayer when I go to bed. And I am so royally blessed by the gift that Gerry and Winnie gave to me. They gave me this beautiful life that I need to keep working. And I'm so grateful to you, your family, for sharing your dad and your beautiful husband with me. And I'm so grateful and thankful that AA brought Gerry into my life. Thank you, Winnie. I love you. I love you too, Gerry. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. At this time, we'll get Nikki to come up. Nikki has a poem she'd like to read. Oh, there you are.
Thanks, Ron. Hi, my name's Nikki, and I met Gerry at Mid-Valley. And yeah, I just wrote a little poem about Gerry. And I hope I can get through it. Hi, Winnie. Gerry was my friend, and he was yours. Or you are his family, which he bragged about indefinitely. Kind, patient, gentle, and quiet, we watched the way he lived, boasted to the world about Winnie and his kids. Number of years, number of kids, grandkids, and yes, great-grandkids. A special way with women as he loved his wife. Counted his grandkids one by one and said their names to absolutely everyone. Want to see a pic? Well, guess who? Winnie in a mini skirt staring at you. Every day he let you know how great she is and how long they have been married since they were crazy kids. They became best friends and drinking partners soon. Then Winnie got a sour stomach, so Gerry stopped too. One day later than Winnie, as everybody knew. Constantly loving his family, trying to repair regrets of past, but helping others, he said many a prayer. A quiet, gentle storyteller, Gerry P. as we called you. Listen carefully, he was not a yeller, a friend to everyone he knew. In the quiet hospital days, he loved listening to music from friends who played. We put them on YouTube and stories were told about these men and days of old. He whispered about people who were not quite there, wandering into his room, not knowing what to say, giving me a look like I wasn't aware, smiled and just nodded my head, yes, I see them there. In the end, forgetting what was coming up, yet he knew he'd lived a good life and Winnie would be okay. She was tough and so amazing, looking after him day by day. Saved the end for his family, they were most revered. Bye, my friend, the angels needed you. We are here carrying your message too. When he whispered, I am ready, God took him by his word, let everyone else be ready, then he left this earth. Thanks for the legacy of Gerry P. We'll remember when he used to say, the rewards for a good life are a good life. Your good life gave us our good life. Amen.
Thank you, Nikki. And one quick story, because every time I hear somebody share, I think of something else. One quick story before I ask my lovely wife, Norma, to come up. We'd gone out for dinner, Bill and Jackie, Norma and I, Stan and Leanne, who are not here today, and Gerry and Winnie, for Chinese food, of course. And we all went over to Gerry and Winnie's after our dinner, and we were sitting there having coffee. And of course, Gerry was off to the side talking with Jackie, and Bill and Norma and Winnie and I were talking, and Winnie says, "How many years have you got now, Ron?" And this was in August, September. And I don't know what the year was, but I said, "I'll be 35 in December." And Gerry, you'd think he wasn't listening, he turned to me and he said, "Ron, you can't celebrate something you haven't got yet." So on that note, we're going to ask Norma to come up.
Good afternoon. I'm Norma. Yes, it's a happy thing that we all got to share a man that left a legacy of quiet love. I was speaking with someone before we started, and he'd just quietly go about his business, affecting everybody very profoundly. And Winnie too. When I lost my mom, both of them were there for me. And I adopted your mom after that. Thank you for that. You have no idea how much Gerry loved his family. And yes, she has the best legs. It's like, yes, Gerry, she does. I was given the honor of being able to go through some of the albums, the pictures of you and your father, and able to put together, a PowerPoint that I hope reflects some of the love that he shared with all of us. My favorite thing about Gerry, and the reason that I put on the card, is that he would always say, "I'm glad I didn't miss this." If he hadn't stopped drinking the day he stopped drinking, he would have missed all of this. Winnie might be gone. His kids might be estranged. He wouldn't remember all 23 grandkids' names. I don't know how he does it. I have 4, and it's just like, okay, call them by each other's names. But he gave me something, and I can't even express what it is. He is a reflection. We try to be a reflection of what they had. I always said that I want to be them when I grow up. I want that kind of relationship. We all deserve that kind of relationship. And I just am so blessed to have everyone in my life. I can't even believe how much, love was shared. And so I made the PowerPoint, and I hope the pictures are okay, because some of them are, older pictures. Anyway, we'll get the PowerPoint turned on, and I hope that it brings you some peace, some love of what Gerry represented. So thank you.
soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, when I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. Your saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty, and the moonlight overthrew ya. Well, she tied you to her kitchen chair, she broke your throne and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew hallelujah, 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 Baby, I've been here before, seen this room, I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya, and I saw your flag on the marble arch. Our love is not a victory march, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
Thank you. That was very beautiful. At this time, I'd like to thank all the help we got, especially from Jack at the door, our sound man, Sam. The venue was donated to us at no cost, and Jack and everybody else that came and helped, it was at no cost. And I'd just like to say that if anybody feels that they wouldn't mind leaving a donation, there's a donation box by the door there. And it's kind of like the seventh tradition, I guess. So we have a little time left before we have our food and fellowship. So I'm going to have an open mic if anybody would like to come up and share.
Can't shut me up that much.
I know. I've seen you.
Got it. Well, I'm Dorothy, one of Dad's children. I've spoken many times, and I missed his last cake, and that's when I realized he wasn't well, because he didn't remember to tell me, and that was a realization that Dad was starting to suffer a bit. But I just want to share a couple of things on his last hours. My brother and my sister spent most of the time with my dad, and I live out of town as well, and came down, and I actually said my goodbyes a year and a half ago. So every time I came, I just spent my time telling him I loved him. I never once said goodbye, I'll see you later. And I spent that time saying I loved him, and 2 weeks before he passed, I went home, and I chose that that would be the last time, and I was okay with that. Then I got a phone call on this Saturday. And I called my mom, and she said, Dad's got something to say to you. And he had this strong voice. I remember parts of my dad, I just don't know. So I heard that really strong voice, and he was basically in a whisper in the last week. And he said, hey, Dorothy, I just wanted to let you know I love you. And up in the Okanagan on that particular night, it was super stormy, and there was no way I could leave and take the chance of driving through the mountain in the dark to see him. So I knew I would go in the morning, and I told in my prayers, you know, Dad, it's okay. If I don't make it, it's okay. Do not wait for me. So I got down, and my sister and brother-in-law just finished leaving him, and my brother before that. And I walked in a room and Dad wasn't doing well. And I walked in, loved him, and he was able to respond to me. And then I watched something that I hadn't. Did this go out? That my brother and sister did. So I just held his hand with Mom there, and I just said, "It's okay, Dad. Mom's good. Mom, we got her. We got her. You go home to Jesus. It's okay." We got her, and he fought through that, and we managed to get my Auntie Joanna's sister on the phone, and as he was struggling, she was able to tell her everything she wanted to tell him, give him strength. And I went down to put money in the meter, and I come back, and there's Dad eating. He hasn't eaten in like 4 or 5 days. And he says, "Hey, Dorothy, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like I thought you'd be gone by the time I come back up here. And all he asked for, he said, "You know what I miss?" And he had this strong voice, which he hadn't had. And just, I mean, a year and a half, every time I see my dad, I would stare at him. Eve. It was a miracle. He made the last year and a half, because we said goodbye many times before that. And he said, "I really miss a cup of coffee, a good cup of coffee." And I said, "Okay, we'll go get you one." So Mom came with me, and of course, Peace Arch Hospital. Come on. There's not even a vending machine to get coffee in it. So I tell Mom, "I'm going to go get him coffee. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Mom goes, No. He can have my old coffee from the thermos from this morning." And I go, "Mom, Dad's dying. All he wants," I mean, we were very clear. We talked about dying. We were very open. "I'm going to get him a coffee. McDonald's is 4 blocks away. See you in 10 minutes. So I bring it back, and I did the daughter thing. I bought a cup of ice. So I had 2 cups. I put his coffee in one, and I filled it with ice, and I gave it to him, and he drank it, and he goes, "What? Ugh, what was that?" I go, "I just put some ice, cool it down." Well, Dad was probably on quite a lot of medication, and if he burned himself, he probably wouldn't have felt it anyways. And so Mom poured him a really hot cup, and he sipped 3 sips, and that was perfect, and he loved that. So the next day I came in to see him, and I asked Mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, why don't you come with me? I'm going to the beach with the girls and the grandkids." And she goes, "No." And I go, "Really, what are you going to do for the next few hours?" So she sent me up, and I got to sit with him when the doctor said he was going to be moved downstairs. And I asked him some questions, and I said, lost the speaker there. I said, "Dad, this is a you're going to die of old age. That is like incredible. How do you do it?" And he goes, "Well, I'm just not giving up. Just." And you could tell he was pretty weak that day. And so I proceeded to tell him I loved him. And the next thing I said to him was, "I need to let you know, you're a good dad." And he says, "We got a good dad." And he, grandkids. I said, "No, Dad, it's fine." And he goes, "Just one more privilege of listening to that." The youngest grandkid remembered. I'm sorry, this is going in and out. So I told him again. All the grandkids loved him. One of my drug-addicted children phoned and wanted him to know that his stories about AA meant something, and he was at least alcohol sober, and he needed Grandpa to know that, because he hadn't seen him in years. And so that was important to say. And then I went on to tell him just one thing. And I said, "Dad, I love you so much." And I said, "Do you know how I used to tease you like you married Mom because of me?" And I said, and I finally figured that out one day. And I said, "It wasn't. I want you to know that's not the reason you married her." I said, "You married her because you loved her so much. And I was the result of that. And thank you." And then I went on to thank him. And this is what I really wanted to say. I said, "Dad, I'm really glad you're an alcoholic." And he looked at me, even though he was blind. And I'm sure he could see at the end. And he went, "What?" I said, "I'm really glad you're an alcoholic. Do you know how many people you have touched and made a difference in their lives? Hundreds." And I said, "Do you know how many families and their families are never going to have to live through that because you quit drinking And I thank you for that. I could tell you all kinds of other stories, but those mean nothing. And he thanked me for that. And so I proceeded to, again, okay, I'm going to go now, Dad, because I need to get him ready. And I says, I'll see you later. Where are you going? Going to the beach to get a sunburn with my daughters and the grandkids. Okay, very, very good. Because I remember he always said something. I thought, what was that phrase? He always says, he always says, he always says. And it's very good. He would say, very good at the end of everything. And I gave him a kiss. And then I got the call from my sister. And I talked to my brother, and I had 8 of his 12. I have 7 kids, so we have a few grandkids. I had 8 of the 12 with us. And I called them together as I'm walking through the puddles, phoning my aunt. Our favorite place, she had to know that I was in the very best place. That's where we grew up. That was our playground. That's where we crossed the road. That's the place my dad loved. And the memories flooded in, and I didn't cry for a long time. I teared, but I mean, this is a lot. And I called all the grandkids in. My daughters were with me, and they were so grateful to be there and memories. And I said, okay. I said, grandkids, Grandma's got something to tell you. I got some really sad news and some really good news. And they sat and went, and I said, great-grandpa has just passed away. Which, what does that mean? He's dead. Because they're very literal. They don't understand passed away. He's dead. Oh, and I said, no, that's okay, that's okay. I mean, he was older, and we knew it was coming, but here's the best news. Today is the best day of his life. It was the very best day of his life. Grandma was with him, and he's in heaven right now, and he's with Jesus, and he's got a new body and a new heart, and he can see through his eyes, and he feels no more pain. And he loves you guys. They went, oh, great. And 7 out of 8 of them run off, and little Malachi stays behind. He sits and he goes, I think I'm still kind of sad. And I go, I am too, honey. And then, they notice crabs with broken legs. And I go, well, just like Grandpa, they're going to get a new body as well. So I just wanted you to know that you were his family and his life, and thank you for that in a sobriety.
Hi there, my name's Bill Potts. I was sitting there, and like Ron, these stories started coming up, and I started realizing I kind of drove my dad to drinking sometimes. I remember, like when I was 5 years old or 4 years old, and he was teaching me how to fish. And if you ever taught a 5 or 4-year-old how to fish, it's very frustrating. And I remember the bird's nest of my reel all the time, and him getting frustrated with me and mad and upset. And I'm going, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And about 10 minutes later, I did it again. And I got my back to him in the boat, and he's going, let the line out. And I'm going, yeah, I'll let the line out. And I'm 5, and I remember this, and he goes, let the line out. And then I turned around, and he looked at me. He didn't get mad. He started laughing, but he had to cut the line again and do that. And then, as Ken mentioned about golf, Dad loved golf, and so do I. And I started out driving him when I was about 12 years old, and that didn't go over very well with my dad because he loved it so much. So we never played much golf together. But I caddied for him, and I was out Peace Portal even yesterday, and I'm walking down the fairways, and I'm starting to realize, part of Dad's soul is still there, and the trees are much bigger now, and but the fairways I was walking down, I would just remember just the things that were, because I'd caddy for him every Saturday, and you've heard all the stories, and I didn't realize this. When I was talking to my sister Gerry, I was going like, you guys hear the stories of what we lived through. So somebody mentioned the Legion kid. Yeah, I was a golf course kid, and I learned how to putt and chip for a lot of hours. And I started realizing today, I was going like, okay, I knew Dad then, but when I got married, I didn't know Dad now. this side. And it was really awesome for you to hear this side, which is great, which is wonderful. And I really appreciate everyone in this room, everyone that spoke. And I know Dad, touched your lives in an incredible way. And it's just awesome. And I just want to thank you so much for touching Mom's life and Dad's life and just being there for him, because this was his family. And I know we're his family, and he loved us greatly, and I know that. And there was no, when I was younger, we could get mad and do all that type of stuff. But when we moved on and matured in our lives and understood that everybody's got problems, everybody's got issues, everybody's got to go through their own stuff, it was just wonderful to hear how much he touched your guys' lives. And I just really appreciate that, and I know you've touched Mom's life greatly. I know they've touched your lives, but you've reciprocated. And I just want to thank you for this day, and I thank you for putting this together and just coming out and celebrating. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Would there be anybody else would like? Oh, come on up. Come on. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Ron. Hi, friends. My name is Jennifer Malcolm, and I'm grateful I was a friend of Gerry's. Wow. Sorry. I just wanted to say something on behalf of Centennial, which is the group that Gerry and Winnie belong to. They joined us because Gerry said he couldn't make it to Mid-Valley anymore. And secretly, I was happy that happened. Sorry, Mid-Valley. Yeah, he gave it away, him and Winnie, and I'm really grateful that I was able to learn from them. And wasn't expecting to get emotional. They showed us how to love and how to give freely. And like everybody else has said, he did it in a quiet way. And I have one story that I wanted to share. And I was one of those people he loved to tell all his great grandkids and grandkids' names. And I'm a bit of a brat still. And I said, "That's nice, Gerald, but what are your kids' names?" And he's like, so here I am to make amends. Sorry, Gerry. And I will learn your kids' names in honor of Gerry. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything. And I'm really grateful to be here.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bill.
My name is Bill, friend of Gerry's and member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill, your father. I met Gerry probably about 26 years ago, and sober but not doing too well, and selfish, self-centered, and everything was about me. And Gerry talked about dragging his family through alcoholism, and I'd hear him talk about that, and he talked with me about that. And it wasn't that I disliked the man, I felt sorry for the man. I thought, oh my God, is this guy ever going to get past this? You know? Never once considering the fact that that's exactly what I did with my wife and our two children, dragged them through my alcoholism. You know, and Gerry talked to me numerous times. We went on cruises and stuff, and you know, I learned some lessons that it wasn't about me. Yes, I'd taken my family through alcoholism, and there's a lot of things. My daughter, or our daughter, she didn't speak to me the first 10 years of my sobriety. She was angry. She was angry, and she had every right to be. You know, and it was people like Gerry that told me that it was better to see a sermon than hear a sermon, and that I had to change. And I had to make the change. My wife didn't have to change. She tried to change me for years. And, you know, I didn't understand why she stayed in the first place, but she said there was a good person inside. And this wonderful PowerPoint presentation was family. Family. I never felt part of a family in my own family until I met people like Gerry and Winnie. Winnie, she's a firecracker. I grew a goatee, and I sat at a meeting with this goatee, and Winnie was sitting across from me, and Gerry, and Winnie, there's a schnauzer. Somebody brought their dog to the meeting, and this schnauzer gets up on its paws, and it's looking at me, and he's got a beard, right? It's a white beard. And Winnie says, "You look just like that dog." You know? And it's the first time I'd ever grown a goatee. I'd had many beards, but I was, you know, this wonderful woman just hurt my poor, tender alcoholic feelings. And I shaved it off. And then she had some neck surgery, and we, Jackie and I went to see her in the hospital in Port Moody, and we took her a card, and I almost hurt her neck because she was laughing so hard. But, you know, Gerry and Winnie have been such an example for Jackie and I. It's people like Gerry and Winnie that taught me how to be a husband, a good husband. At least I think so anyways. There might be a second opinion on that, but taught me how to be a husband and a father and to care for other people. Gerry was soft-spoken, but I heard what he said, and more than that, I felt what he said. Gerry and Winnie are a team. They always were together. We've had nothing but the pleasure of their company, and we too got the I love yous. We were up in Barrie at Ron's family reunion around the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and we spoke to Gerry and Winnie. And Gerry was struggling a bit with speaking, but he's left such a, you know, the thing with family that sticks with me is, you know, you guys were the kids, you were there when before he came here to AA. So I know there's memories, like my daughter not speaking to me for the first 10 years. And, you know, my relationship with my father wasn't very good. And, you know, when he passed, when he got sick with cancer and that, and I was there every day. And when I went, the night he passed, we went to the hospital, and this nurse come to me and she says, "Bill, would you come with me and we'll get some chairs to put around the bed for the family?" And I went, and this young lady, she said to me, she says, "Your father is so proud of you. He really loves you." And you know, my father had never said that to me. And she says, "And you're in Alcoholics Anonymous." And I thought, oh, maybe I'd seen her in a meeting. And I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "I know, he tells us that you help people." And then she said, "He told us that you've raised millions of dollars for Alcoholics Anonymous." And I said, "That's the drugs you're giving them." But I talked to Gerry about that, and this is what happens. The family is like you said, Bill. Your family is your family, and then there's this family, and we all have our skeletons and our tough times that we remember. But at the end of the day, it's in here. And that's where Gerry is for me. So thanks for my sobriety, and thanks for being here, and God bless. Thanks.
Betty?
Hi, friends. Betty Robinson, member of Alcoholics Anonymous. My condolences, Winnie, and to the family. For the record, Gerry was an honorary member of Saturday Night Coffee for years. He showed up all the time. I came to that group in about 2003, and that's when I met them. And you know, what an example he has set for especially men and women who come into recovery and, need relationship help. I wasn't asking him for any help, but, I just wanted to, share with you that I had the honor during COVID and just after COVID with a couple other fellows here to document Gerry's story for the Grapevine. And we spent many hours on Zoom typing away his full life story. And I came to know Gerry even better than meeting him at meetings, and how his heart was truly in love with his family. So those of you who are in Alcoholics Anonymous know this prayer that I'm going to read, because this is Gerry's prayer. This is how I see Gerry. And it's called the Prayer of St. Francis. And this is how he lived his life. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there are sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather than to comfort, than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven, and it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. God bless you all, and thank you, Gerry.
Thank you, Betty. If anybody wanted to look up that prayer, it's the prayer of St. Francis. It's a prayer to live by. Is there anybody else? What would you like to share?
I don't want to keep anybody from their food, but my name's Craig Thomas, and some faces are familiar in here. You may recognize me from some years ago. I came to White Rock in 2008, and I'd been sober some time there already, but I left in about, I think, 2017. I was just texting to my wife to see if she remembered what year we left White Rock. So I haven't seen Gerry in a while, because I moved away. But it's interesting that we were that close to him being my sponsor when I was here, but he had too many already. I have been a frontline worker for some years, and what I learned from Gerry by example, not by lecture, but by example, I have learned how to nurture and support without carrying. You know what I mean by that? Some of you may recognize. I see some heads nodding. And that's been extremely valuable. It saved my mental health over the years. But I have often thought about Gerry when I need to think about peaceful and practical people. He was very straightforward, but very low-key. And if he'd been called to the ministry, I would have joined his church. I just have to say that, because he had just had that manner, and it supported me through my years in White Rock when I was out here alone. And he was not financially, just emotional support, and I found him very inspirational. And you and Gerry taught me a lot about mutual support too. Body language and facial expressions can be very revealing. There were times when you were sitting side by side in a meeting, I think it was the nooner down there, and there was clearly something that was not satisfactory about the remainder of that day, but the support was there, and the validation of each other, and that has been valuable to me in my relationships. No matter what's going on at home, there are important things we're pursuing, and we support the other in that. And I am just grateful to be able to come out here today and to just not say goodbye to Gerry, but just to express how much he meant to me and continues to be. I try and live by a tradition that says nobody really expires until the last person says their name. So I'm going to keep Gerry in my heart and in my life. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hi, Winnie. My name is Blair Down, and I'm an alcoholic. That's where Gerry and I got to know each other. And then through there, I got to know Winnie. And so Gerry I'm a single guy, and every time Gerry and I met for lunch, and we'd meet for lunch 1 or 2 times a month in Vancouver. I used to live there. He says, why don't you ever get married? And I said, well, introduce me to a girl as great as Winnie, and I will. Because he used to tell me all the stuff that you guys are doing, and the kids you raised, and what a devoted mother you were. This was love all over the place. I mean, he just couldn't get enough talking about you, so way to go. I love you, Gerry. I miss you. Nice to have that little talk we used to have. And once or twice a month, I give him a little buzz, and he informed me of his progress, and I could see the decline happening. You know, now I can't see, and I can't this, and I can't that. But when he's here, when he's this, and when he's that, and you helped him live longer. You should know that. You did. And I'm not from the area. I'm from Tawasin. So we're kind of neighbors. And you guys and me, if you're from this area. And I wanted to make sure I came today to bid my respects to Gerry and Winnie, because I never met a more devoted couple to each other or a more motivated couple and devoted to their children. They just had it going on. And for me, it's talking about examples. And that's the best example I've ever seen in my life of love with those two. And you're going to carry it on. It'll be lonely. I know all about that. My dad and my mom died. And my son, that was a bad one, died of a heart attack at 42. And you get over it, but I can share grief with you, Winnie. Because although you accept it, it never really goes away. It's just always in the background. And after about a month after my son died, I was phoning him. And I thought, what the hell am I doing here? He's dead. And it was just a response. So don't phone Gerry. Gerry's in heaven. Yeah, he's in heaven. It's nice to meet his friends. You look like a really good group of gray-haired people like me. And it's nice to be with my fellow friends, I'm going to call you ahead of time. And thank you for accepting me in your crowd and in your big day here, Winnie. And you're making a great job. Oh, thank you. You keep that up. Thank you. Thank you.
Took me 78 years to get my hair this color. Okay, one more gentleman would like to speak.
Hi everyone, my name is Len Robertson. And Gerry was a big part of my life. I'm also a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I also got to know Gerry about 25 years ago. And I had a sponsor then, and then Gerry became my sponsor 17 years ago. And Gerry used to tell me many stories about his fishing trips, you know, up to the different lakes up near Merritt. And, you know, he'd tell me about the bigger fish he caught, and then he'd tell me about the fish that got away. And, you know, in the later years, before he gave up fishing up there, he would just go up there to be in the boat and just enjoy the peace that's there. And, you know, Gerry helped me through my struggles, through my dark spots, and I shared my, you know, deepest, darkest secrets with him. And so he's really helped me along the way. And just so you know, Winnie, Lasha and I love you. And Lasha would be here today, but she's in the hospital visiting her son who's got a broken neck. So, and we don't know the outcome yet. But anyway, it is really great to be here. You know, I've enjoyed visits with Winnie and Gerry, as others have. And I was very fortunate to talk to Gerry about 2 weeks before he went. You know, his voice was weak. I had to really strain to hear him, but it was great to hear him. And it was so neat to hear him recite all the names of the grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Unbelievable. So thank you all, and thank you, Ron.
Okay. I think at this time I'd like to ask everybody to join us out in the auditorium for food and more fellowship. Hearing the stories I've heard, I could probably tell 100 more, and all fondly. But anyway, I'm honored, Winnie, that you asked me to help do this. And I'd like to thank everybody that helped put it on and helped do it, and everybody that shared their kind words. And please join us. I don't know, would anybody mind if we said the Serenity Prayer? Okay, please join me with the Serenity Prayer, and then we'll have food and fellowship. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you, everybody.
soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still.